Hey, what's up guys? This is Dark. Just making a video quick on how to configure the Mumble chat client, the Mumble voice client for the guild chat, because there's been a lot of questions about it. There's been a couple of people that have gotten confused. So hopefully this helps to avoid a little confusion. Okay, so the window you see on the screen right now is the main Mumble client window. After you install it and you go through the first setup, which is the audio wizard, you're going to see this screen here. Okay, so to configure a new server from this screen here, which is what you want to do, you can either click this connect button, this blue connect button, or you can go to server and then connect. Okay, you'll get a list, looks similar to this, but it'll probably be empty if it's the first time you're setting the program up. It'll look like this. Okay, so you go ahead and click on favorite, you go add new, because you want to add a new server. In the label field here, this is whatever you want to call the server, just so that you can reference it on this list. It doesn't matter at all what you put in here. So you can call it whatever you want. So for the purposes of this video, I'll go ahead and call it example, just so that it's obvious in the list and you can see it. In the address field, this is the address of the remote server. This information is available on the forum, and it's available on the guild page in-game. The server name is futureguild.throughhere.net. Okay, the next field is the port number. Port number I kept as default, so it's 64,738. If for some reason this field is not populated and it's blank, you could just type it in, 64738, and that's the correct setting for that. You won't have to worry about it. The next field is the username. This is whatever username you want to use. I recommend using your in-game name, the name of your main character. Doesn't matter though. You can put whatever you like. So we'll put test in here. Now on yours you'll see a password field underneath the username, I believe. The reason you don't see it on mine is because I'm using a certificate to log in and it doesn't ask me for the password. But the password field, you don't have to enter it every time. It's just when you're setting up the new connection. The password's available again in the game on the guild page, and it's available on the forum, on the guild forum. You can also message any of the guild members in game and they'll give it to you if they know it. Just don't want to put it on YouTube. Okay, so once you have all this information in here, go ahead and click OK, and you'll see in your list the new server that we just created. So in this case we called it example. Alright, so once that's set up, you can click on example, or the name of the server you made, click connect, and it'll bring you into the room, if you will, the chat room. Okay, so these are all the people on the right hand side here. These are all the people that are logged in. You can see underneath them we have 3 dedicated dungeon run channels. This is if you're in a dungeon with other people that are all on chat and you don't want to talk over the people in the main chat channel. You could just click and drag your name into one of the dungeon run channels. Everyone else in the party would do the same, and then you can only hear each other. And then once the party's over, the dungeon's over, you can move yourself back into the main chat channel. And then everyone can hear you again, and you'll be able to hear everyone. Okay, so these icons here, the little X's in them next to my name, this means that I'm muted and deafened, which means that I can't hear them and they can't hear me. And you can disregard these little guys with the plus signs next to them. This is only for people that have registered their username, and you don't have to do that. It's not necessary. Okay, so in the left side of the screen here, this is all the notifications about the server. It tells you who's logged in, who's logged out, and it's also the chat. Okay, so you can type whatever you want in here, and it'll appear in this left hand side. I won't do it because everyone's talking. I don't want to interrupt them. There's a feature in here that whatever gets typed in the screen, whatever gets typed into this box, a little robotic voice will interrupt everyone, and it'll read the message back to the people that are not looking at the screen. Okay, so that's the main configuration. Alright, so now if you're having trouble with your mic or you want to set up push to talk, if you didn't get to do it through the audio wizard, you can always access the audio wizard by going configure and then clicking on audio wizard, and that'll guide you through the process step by step. And I'll make a picture guide on how to do that another time, probably after this video. and it'll help you configure your push-to-talk. It'll help you choose your microphone if you have multiple microphones connected, and it'll help you set up your default volumes. Now, if you want to do that manually, you can go to Settings. Once you go to Settings here, this is the screen that's put in front of you. The audio input is the setting that concerns how you're going to communicate with people, how they're going to hear you. Okay, so in this transmit section, you have a drop-down list with 3 options. Okay, so continuous means that the microphone is always on. People will always be able to hear you no matter what, which I do not recommend. The next option is voice activity. This means that when the microphone detects that you're speaking, if you speak at the appropriate volume, which you can change, it'll turn the mic on and the people will hear you then. The next option is push-to-talk, which is what most people, myself included, use. It means you can assign any number of buttons on the keyboard or the mouse to be an activation button, and once you push it and hold it, you can then start talking. So once you have push-to-talk selected here, you can go to Apply, and then to set up the shortcut for the push-to-talk, the button you want to use, you would go to Shortcuts. Now, this list is typically blank, but these are the 2 buttons that I use, so we'll get rid of them and I'll show you how to set up new ones. So this is what it looks like for you when you first set up the program. You would go to Add. You click on Unassigned underneath Function, and you get a little drop down here. You choose Push to Talk, and then underneath the Shortcut section, if you just click your mouse, it'll ask you to press the button that you want to use as a shortcut. So we'll click it. It says Press Shortcut. I usually use the tilde key as my main one, which is the button that's right above the tab. It's the little squiggly line. So if you push that, you'll see it come up on there. The K means keyboard, and then it's got a colon, and then it shows you the key that you chose. And then you can set up another one if you wanted to. There's no limit to how many you can use. So you go to Add New One. You go to the drop-down Push to Talk. You go to Shortcut, and then I usually use a mouse button. So if I push it, I get M for mouse, and then button 4. So I'm using mouse button 4. You can go to Apply. Now every time you open the program and you want to talk, you would push and hold one of those buttons that you assigned the push to talk function on, and you'll see the lips next to your name turn red, and then people will be able to hear you. Now it's not going to work on mine because I have mute and deaf on, because I don't want to interrupt people in the chat room with it. But if you don't see the lips or people can't hear you, then you may have a problem that you have to just fix. So you go into Configure, you go to Settings. There's a little advanced checkbox here. If you check it, you get a whole bunch of other options. So you have audio input. You can choose the default microphone. If you have more than one microphone connected, here's a list. You can choose which one you want to use. You can enable or disable the echoing, which you probably wouldn't want to do. You can change the transmit. You can also change if people are having a hard time hearing you and you don't know how to change the volume of the output on your mic. If you go to audio output, there's this audio output volume slider here. You can change this up to over 100%, and it'll increase the volume that people hear you as, which is helpful. The other thing you can change is the user interface. So if you see, we have the names of the people in the channel to the right, and you have the chat messages to the left. You can change it to stacked. You can customize the style of the window. You can make it always on top, which some people like because then they can see who's talking in game. You click Apply and OK, and then you see it changes over here. So if we go back into Settings, there's the overlay section here. The overlay only works in, I think, Windows 32-bit versions. So if you have a 64-bit version of Windows, it's not going to work. It's a known bug. I don't think they fixed it yet. So don't exhaust yourself trying to get that to work if you're using a 64-bit version. The same thing goes with the FPS counter right here and things like that. Yeah, so that's really all that needs to be configured. You can mess around with the other settings if you want to, but none of it is all that vital. It typically works right out of the box without too much configuration. If you have any questions about how to set it up, you're having trouble with it, just message me in game. It's Dark, and then whatever class. My handle is at AVACarbon, C-A-R-B-O-N, or you can message me on the forum. The name is Dark. Again, the password is on the guild page in game, and it's on the forum, or you can ask any member of the guild, and they'll be able to do it. Mumble is pretty frequently used. A lot of people use it, and it's an excellent tool. Get to know the guild members, and it really helps you in dungeons too. Okay, guys, so that's it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, I'll see you in Mumble. Bye-bye.